So if you've been following what's happening in North Dakota, the Army Corps of Engineers has decided to delay the permits. They're not granting those permits to go under the lake. So it's been temporarily stopped. So it's a temporary win. It's a temporary win. So that's why I'm looking at it. It's a temporary win. A lot of powerful forces are conspiring. You know, the veterans, Michael Wood Jr., he was on the show, Wesley Clark Jr. They put together a group of veterans. 4,000 veterans showed up at Standing Rock. That's amazing. And so they had raised $1 million, right, to help all this. The bank that has their money is they won't let them access it.
Are you kidding?
No.
Well, they did eventually, but
so now they can. Yeah. So Michael Wood, I texted him. He said they had access to limited funds but now they're getting access to their funds again. So there's lots of crazy stuff like that happening. I get emails from people saying that we were trying to raise money for medical care for the medics going to DAPL, and the company that has our ambulance gave it away to someone else because they didn't want us to use it, even though it's not theirs to give away. There's all kinds of corporate fascism happening, right? And if you want to see their point men fascist with the gun, it's this guy, right? So this is the sheriff, and this guy's a criminal. If you don't know what's been happening up there, the cops are the ones who are criminals up in North Dakota defending corporate criminals, right? So this is the world we live in. And of course, we have corporate-owned government, so they don't do anything. And in fact, the corporate-owned government is the one out there doing the violence. And Barack Obama turns a blind eye and a blind ear and a deaf ear, and so does Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren came out and said something the other day. Ooh,
what, December 2nd? Maybe?
Democratic Party is so done. They're so done. So here's this guy. Let's watch this. Here's the sheriff, and here's what he said.
We have received very concerning intel that an element within the protest movement wants to exploit veterans with PTSD, arm them, and try to trigger their PTSD and turn them aggressive. Besides being horrible and wrong, it could be dangerous and deadly.
So, always be wary of double-chinned guys with a centimeter of hair on top of their head. Why? Because they're fascists and they're the tools of fascists. This guy's a criminal, okay? So just so you know, just because he's angry at his hair, and what is it about this? They want to cut it as short as possible. Get the hair off of my head. And that still doesn't mean you're not a criminal and a thug, and that's who that guy is. And what they're doing out there to those people are criminal. What he's doing right now is lying. What he's doing is setting up a lie so that when they go and violently brutalize people who are peaceful, now he can point and say, so this idea that somehow they're going to bring veterans in who have post-traumatic stress disorder, going to give them guns and then try to freak them out. And then this is a brilliant idea. This is how dumb cops are. This is the best lie he could come up with. And he doesn't even need to lie because he knows he's lying. Again, whenever you lie or commit a criminal act in defense of the system, there's never a price to pay for that. So just remember that. That's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz, when she had to resign and disgrace for being corrupt, she didn't go to jail or get even embarrassed. She got another job with Hillary Clinton. So when you lie and commit criminal acts on behalf of the establishment, you're fine. And that's what this guy's doing. So he's lying at the behests of his fascist overlords, corporations, and so this is about as despicable as it gets in law enforcement. That guy right there. He's about as bad as they come.
He's also setting it up so that he can send in one of his own guys and take a shot.
Yeah, that's all. But by the way, we know they do that.
And then have a narrative built up right around that.
You mean an infiltrator? Yeah. So the cops would send somebody, pretend that and then have that guy go nuts.
They do that all the time.
They do it. They do that all the time.
Protesters breaking windows.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. They caught cops doing that at Occupy Wall Street. Yeah. The cops that were agitating, cops that were trying to start violence, were cops. The people doing that were cops. Yeah. So remember, you have to remember, cops are criminals. That's your jumping off point. It's okay. It's okay to think that. They are. And to just keep that in mind. We need them. You need to have police. You don't need to have these kind of police.
Well, our police culture has turned into this culture of terrorizing citizens.
Yes. We live in a police state, in case you haven't noticed. And now it's all about, it used to be that the cops were risking their safety for yours. They were risking their life to ensure your safety. Now it's all about my safety, the cop's safety. I got to make sure I get home at night. No, that's what I have to do. You have to make sure I get home safe at night. That's why you are a cop and you get to have a gun and have all this extra unbelievable power in our society. So I get home safely and you might lose your life. But it's all twisted now. It's all backwards. Now it's all about cops saying, Barack Obama said it, they got to get home to their, by the way, policing, one of the safest jobs in the fucking world. Okay, so any cop who screams about cop safety is also a giant liar pussy, right? Because it's one of the safest jobs in the world. In the world. So just keep that in mind.
And Jimmy, when I watch this, the person in charge of his police force, when he says this stuff, I'm horrified. I'm frightened. And, this is what the Native Americans have been dealing with forever.
Yes. Yeah. These are the guys that the Native Americans have been dealing with forever. So there you go. So there's, so if you want to know who's the criminal in North Dakota, it's that guy. It's the sheriff. Paul D Laney. That's your sheriff, Paul D Laney. How do you say a criminal? I say Paul D Laney. How do you know he's a criminal? His name is Paul Delaney. That's how you know. Gutless, the opposite of courage, the opposite of character, the opposite of integrity, the opposite of standing up for the Constitution, and the opposite of protecting your citizens. It's Paul Delaney. He's the opposite of all that stuff, and everyone gets to see right there. So maybe his kids see this or his wife, and in their hearts they know that this guy's a loser. They know this guy's the opposite. He's a coward. He's the opposite of what he claims to be. He's a brutal maniac. They know that he likes to be violent within. He probably beat the shit out of them. I don't know. I'm guessing. So anybody who knows this guy knows what he is. And this guy knows what he is too. He's always been this. This isn't a shock to him that he has no character. This isn't a shock to him. He looks in the mirror every day. He knows what he is.
And look at his
he's a creep.
And look at his hubris. He has no problem making this announcement. And he believes in it, that you're going to be convinced.
Yeah, you're just lying to yourself. So just to sum up, when when soldiers go over to the Middle East at the behest of oil companies and kill people and actually get PTSD, that's okay. 6 tours, keep going. But when they come back home and then they want to protest against oil companies, that's when they're dangerous. That's when there's something wrong. You know how their brains got messed up fighting at the behest of oil companies? Now they're too broken to protest against them.